Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take a look at my games, or at least the first couple, in the top 64 of the EU Players' Cup. Last week I got a score of 4-1. Let's not talk about that misclick loss. That put me into top 64 from 256 last week. All those videos were recorded and commentated, link in the description. Now, I'm playing my Excadrill Spiritomb list. Again, link to that video in the description where I go through that. And because I took a loss last week, I need to go 4-0. If you went 3-0 last week, you need to go 2-0 this week to get a total score of 5-0. But if you took a loss last week, then you need to get 4-0 this week, which means I'm only getting in on a combined score of 8-1, which is kind of harsh if I'm honest with you, but hey-ho, them's the breaks. But I know my first round opponent this week, and I like my first round opponent. Now, my apologies to my first round opponent, they're playing Pikarom, and they are playing Xurkitree, which is immune to Pokemon with special energy attached, and 5 of my 9 energy are special. But I'm playing Fiona to move it, I'm playing Boss's Orders to gust around it, and Palpad to recover it. I can KO it easy with an Excadrill or with a bit of effort a Spiritomb, and I'm playing both basic fighting and basic darkness, plus a couple of ordinary rod, plus a Brock script, plus a couple of Palpad. What I'm saying is, I've got answers to Xurkitree. I am a little bit worried that I will go first, my opponent will go second, and they'll use Xurkitree's GX attack to put my only supporter card as a prize card. I'll draw nothing and lose, and that really is my main concern here, other than being donked. Now, one thing that is very interesting, because we're in the loser's bracket, both myself and my opponent have had each other's deck lists for a week. Now, I actually did a video about my deck, and my opponent commented on the video, so he knows my deck, I know his, and that's not a great start, but I don't have a basic Pokemon, so we can rejig. And, I mean, in testing, I played against 16 Pikaroms, and I won 15. One, I just drew nothing. Last week, I did have a very bad game against a Pikarom, but then 2-0'd very easily to win the match 2-1. This is about as one-sided a match as I've had with any deck for a while. This does not have entirely amazing matchups, but this is a very good match. Now, the reason we go Spiritomb is we're going second. Spiritomb gets a turn 1 attack. Maybe not for much, but it will get something. And I've got an Excadrill, I've got a Blitzel. Oh no, I'm going first, it turns out. My apologies. But it does mean that I can Building Spite, I can get an energy onto Spiritomb. Annoyingly here, I want to Ultra Ball, but I don't want to get rid of anything in my hand. And I can't, incidentally. I cannot get rid of anything in my hand, because I need to attach the Darkness Energy, maybe to attack, but if nothing else, to retreat Spiritomb next turn. I obviously need the Excadrill Fighting Energy, and clearly I need the Marnie, so yeah. But I'm actually not worried if my opponent now goes for the Xurkitree GX attack, because I've got Excadrill and Fighting Energy, and I've got Marnie and a Quick Ball. So if my opponent gets rid of Marnie, I can still Dedenne with an Excadrill rolling. If they get rid of Excadrill, I can attach an Energy and Marnie, or maybe Dedenne looking for a second supporter. I feel like I'm setting up here, and starting with a basic energy is huge for me. Like being able, and you can see that, my opponent's played an Electromagnetic Radar, they've gone and got their Xurkitree, but I've got the basic energy. And the other thing is that getting the basic energy early, I don't feel the need to conserve it. Because I've got Ordinary Rod, because I've got Brock Script and Palpad, it doesn't matter if that energy ends up in a discard really early in the game, I can just reuse it. And that is a huge, huge thing for me. Knowing that I've got the option there to have that energy throughout the game is great. There was a chance, a very, very slim chance, but there was a chance that all my basic energy ends up prized. But like I say, I can KO anything but a tag team using Spiritomb anyway, so my opponent builds up their board nicely, they get the speed energy onto Pikarom to draw themselves a couple of cards, they've got the Tapu Koko there ready to accelerate a bit of energy, and they actually do get the Professor's Research, having already played the Dedenne, drawing an awful lot of cards. Now I do notice they've dropped Reset Stamp. That can be big, especially if I take too many prizes too early without Zeb Striker on the field. So that's a bonus. And you see my opponent there getting the energy onto Xurkitree and onto Pikachu and Zekrom. Air Balloon onto Zero Aura. There goes the Thunder Mountain. And you can see that my opponent's got the turn 1 full blitz. Like, this is a really, really strong start from my opponent. They've got the Xurkitree down with an energy. They've got the Pikachu and Zekrom ready to use full blitz, take a KO, accelerate free energy. But I'm going to KO with Excadrill and then Marnie. And that's why this deck is so strong against Pikachu and Zekrom. It really is, my opponent's just had a really good turn. They've gotten 6 energy on the field, not to mention the Thunder Mountain, which he knows I've got no counter for. So there goes Excadrill. And there goes the energy. Now, I do actually have to get rid of the Excadrill to get a Drillbur here. It's not ideal, but it happens. It's really not the end of the world here. I can live with this. Now Marnie goes down, and there we go. So I've got another quick ball there. I've got a Spiritomb for building Spite, and I've got a Rainbow Energy to start building that up. Vione goes down just because. Now, you see, I did not use Quick Ball to get a Drillbur there. Why did I not use Quick Ball to get a Drillbur? Because I didn't need to. I saved it so I could have a Dedenne to draw some cards next turn. My opponent is not going to be using Tag Bolt this turn. I suppose maybe if they've got an energy and an energy switch all in one go. But it's possible. It is possible. But I'm not worried if they do. Like, let's say, for argument's sake, my opponent gets that roll and they actually get the pair of them off. I've still got my Spiritomb to start dealing damage. I'm still in a very nice position. I've got no multiple prize Pokemon down. I can Brox. Now, there is the energy switch. So my opponent actually, if they've got an energy, they can get the KO here. So maybe I was a little bit too enthusiastic not going for the Drillbur. But it doesn't look like they've got an energy. So I'm getting away with this one. But let's be clear. Even if my opponent does, all I need to do here is just pop the energy on Spiritomb. If I can get a Hustle Belt, I'm doing 160. And then I can Professor's Research. And then essentially one of two things is going to happen. My opponent doesn't KO Spiritomb, I KO Pikarom. Or my opponent does KO Spiritomb, and all I need to do is evolve my Drillbur, and then I can get a KO anyway. So even if, now don't get me wrong, my opponent's energy being prized, I'm assuming they've got a few energy prized here. That is not an ideal situation, but even if my opponent takes out the Drillbur and the Excadrill, I've got, half a KO with Spiritomb. And now there I would actually have Marnied. I would not have Sycamored because Research because I had the Excadrill in hand. But I'm really not worried here. Now, as it turns out, I can just go and get my Diancie. I can attach a Rainbow Energy. I can retreat and get the KO. That Big Charm did give a little bit of... Oh, there we go. Free energy prized. That Big Charm did give my opponent slightly more survivability, but my Diancie's got my back here. Now, I know my opponent had the energy prize and missed the double KO. I don't think getting the double KO would have won them the game, because I still would have had my Spiritomb doing minimum 100, hopefully 160, if I grab myself a Hustle Belt. And then I've got the supporter in hand, I've got the Drillbur, and my opponent still needs to take 3 individual KOs over 3 turns to win the game, and I think I've got myself covered. I should have gone Quick Ball for the Drillbur, but hey-ho, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the good news is I've got Spiritomb, and I do have a bunch of Pokemon Search here, which is nice. I don't have a supporter, but I don't... Oh, okay. No supporter sucks, but I've got some stuff that I need here, so that's fine. So I get myself Drillbur or Ditto, definitely Ditto, because then I can search whatever I want off the Quick Ball. We don't know what I'm going to get off the other Great Ball. So there's my Drillbur as well here. So now I'm feeling pretty good in terms of setting up, and I need to stop here. That's a bad play. I should not be playing that card. And the reason is extremely simple. I came into this game saying very clearly, And I've got 2 Drillbur essentially on the field already. I came into this game saying that I am worried that my opponent is going to use a Circuitry going second to get rid of my only option to draw. I played Dedenne, and we saw that Dedenne wasn't prized. So now my opponent can Circuitry and get rid of my Quick Ball, and my hand an Excadrill and an Ordinary Rod. I need to draw something if my opponent does that. Now, it can be an energy, it can be a supporter, it can be a Zeb Striker. I've got an awful lot of outs. I have a lot of outs, incidentally. But if my opponent goes ahead and... If my opponent goes for the Circuitry play, there's nothing I can do here. I am in top deck mode. And there was no need for it because I had a Ditto and I had an Excadrill. Even if my opponent's got a KO and a boss's orders, I've still got a Ditto that I can evolve. So that was a very, very bad move on my part. And that's how you lose good matchups. That is how you end up losing against what should be a very good matchup. It's little plays like that. Now, the good news is my opponent has retreated into Dedenne. That means they've had a very bad start. And if I can grab myself a Rainbow Energy Hustle Belt, I've actually got the KO, which is kind of ridiculous. Now, you're going to see another little misplay here. Why am I getting rid of the Pokemon communication? Because let's say my Dedenne is prized. And I don't think it was, but let's say it is. If my Dedenne is prized, I go any basic Pokemon, and I communication it into a Zeb Striker, evolve the Ditto, and I'm good to go. Oh man, that's a whiff. But it's alright, I've got the Zeb Striker. That was a very bad play. In that situation, I needed the Pokemon communication. I probably didn't, but there was a small chance that I did, so bad play on my part there. I have some regrets. So now we play the Marnie coming down after playing the Dedenne, and I do get the Rainbow Energy, I do get the Hustle Belt. My opponent throws up the heart there because I played the Marnie, but I explained this in the previous video about Pikarom, and I'm not going to be playing Diancie here, or am I? It depends on... Now, I know my opponent's playing one big charm. So, the question is... And it's not a decision I'm going to make now. I want to save my resources, essentially. It all depends on... I can't get rid of that Diancie, and I actually don't need to, so I feel in a pretty good position. I don't mind giving my opponent a new hand when they had a terrible hand. Because in a matchup that is very much in your favour, the only thing that really matters is you setting up. It's not about your opponent. I know that I'm in a good position, and like I say, okay, playing that Marnie gave my opponent a decent hand, but it also gave me 2 prizes. And now, if my opponent tries to start taking out the Excadrill on the bench, I've got my Spiritomb doing really good work. So I'm just in no big hurry here. Now, there is an argument here that I've only got a Drillbur and an Excadrill down, and there is a possibility of my opponent going for a full blitz and going to get a KO. Oh, sorry, a Tag Bolt to KO both of them. But even if they do that, I've got options. So, you know, I've got a Spiritomb down and ready to roll. So I'm feeling in a good position. Now, it looks like my opponent's actually going to Dedenne here. Using Static Shock, getting a KO. Choosing not to put Dedenne into his hand. And now the question is, do I have to bench the Diancie? Does my opponent have a big charm available to them? Now remember, it is open deck list. Might as well just pop that on Dedenne. I might use it in the future. And it's a big decision. Now, I go and double check. My opponent's only playing one big charm. It's in the discard pile. I don't need Diancie. So, I can just get rid of all of those cards. Because I need another attacker down, really. Remember, Pikachu and Zekrom can get rid of 2 attackers in one go. So, it's kind of important. So there goes the energy on Excadrill. And I know I take a damage counter, but that's very deliberate. I can... Oh, and there's my Drillbur. That's good. I can recover my basic energy using Ordinary Rod. I'm not going to play Ordinary Rod yet, though, because I might discard the other fighting energy using Excadrill here. So you don't Ordinary Rod in before you discard, and then you Ordinary Rod. So what I'm doing here is just increasing my chances. I know in games like this, if you get complacent, you can be caught by a late game Circuitry, and my opponent knows my list. So they can go, oh, hang on a second, he's actually now completely out of basic energy. let's go Circuitry, so I discard the fighting so that I can ordinary rod it in later. So here comes a reset stamp. Oh, that could not have been more perfect. To be fair, I have got a Zeb Striker on the field, and I've got a Blitzel ready to be evolved, so I'm not worried about a reset stamp to 2 here. I'm just not worried. But I know that if I don't, it can. But let's be clear, that is a phenomenal reset stamp for me. They are literally the 2 cards that guarantee me the win. So, it's unfortunate for my opponent. I still feel pretty good about drawing out of it regardless. But, yeah, that was, could not have been better. And you see, the Pikarom matchup can be precarious. We saw in Game 1, my opponent was a couple prizes away from ridding my field of Excadrill. Though, as I explained, I still feel confident I would have won that game regardless, but it would have made for a far more awkward game. Reset stamp to 2, because I've got the Zeb Striker and the Blitzel, I'm gonna probably be okay. Although, like I say, my opponent did reset stamp me into literally the perfect hand. They are the only 2 cards that I need. So down comes the full blitz, and now I know I can just attack and win the game. And the game has gone basically as I expected. The circuitry ended up being a non-factor, but it's always there and it's something you've got to prepare for. But I suspect it was a non-factor because I was prepared for it. So now I get to go on. I've still got to get 3 wins to get myself into top 16 next week. And this does not have all good matchups. I'm not feeling good about Dragapult. Zacian can go either way. Weirdly, in testing, in qualification, in doing events, I actually went 5-3 against Dragapult with my deck. But I feel like it was a false 5-3. There were some donks. There was some my opponent didn't draw very well kind of games. So I don't want to play against Dragapult. And I'd rather not play against Zacian. But give me stuff like Spiritomb, Blacephalon, Pikarom. I'll play them all day long. But not Inteleon. I'm going to put it simply, Inteleon is a horrendous matchup. Now, Inteleon V does 40 damage to one of my Pokémon, so that basically locks me out of using Spiritomb in any meaningful way. It's also a straight one-hit KO on a fresh Ditto. And the VMAX does 160 to the active and 60 to the bench, which is a KO onto Excadrill, while also KOing something on the bench. Plus, there's Zigzagoon and Scoop up net, so 70 HP Pokemon are not safe. Crushing Hammer can be annoying, but I'm not so worried about that. And Excadrill, basically, unless you get down to like 3 cards in your deck, does not 2-hit KO Inteleon VMAX. Against random VMAXs, my plan is generally very simple. Aggro Spiritomb with Excadrill to finish off. And it works. Against stuff like Cinderace, it's brilliant. It's a good strategy. But what we have here is a 2-pronged thing of, number 1, Inteleon basically locks me out of using Spiritomb. Number 2, Excadrill is 3-hit KOing while I'm being 1-hit KO'd for 1 prize, which means I'm even on prizes, except my opponent's taking bench KOs as well. This is about as bad a matchup as I could get. It's not one I prepared for or was ready for, and it's the kind of matchup where there's an awful lot of people out there going, oh, Inteleon's no good, it auto-losses to Pikarom. Well, it's on the same record as I am, and it's got a very good matchup now. I feel very, very bad about this game. I do see this as basically the mirror image of the previous game. Against Pikachu and Zekrom, I'm sorry that this sounds so kind of mean, vain, call it what you will, it is as near to an auto win as I've had in the entire time I've been playing this game. Through events and this tournament, I have won 19 out of 21 individual games against Pikachu and Zekrom. That is a little over a 90% win rate. It actually rounds to 90%. 90.4 if you want to be pedantic. So, yeah, I basically only lose if I don't set up. I feel the opposite way in this game. I feel like the only way I win is if my opponent doesn't set up. You see, I'm not benching Ditto there, because if I bench Ditto, my opponent will have a turn with Inteleon before I get a chance to evolve it. So if they get a single water energy, and that is not much to ask, they get a KO on Ditto. Now, they have had a bad start. Here, I really don't know where I'm going with this. I mean, aggro Excadrill will win me the game if It's a big if. It will win me the game if my opponent doesn't get the VMAX. And I want to start getting energy on the field, but I know that that special energy can hurt me. My opponent's actually playing a one-of Lycanroc that attacks for free if there's an EX or GX on the field, which now I've got Blitzle down and a supporter in hand is not going to happen for me, but it does 130. So now that 10 damage on Drillbur brings it in range. So I need to get energy on the field here. I don't even know what to... I mean, do I try and go aggro Spiritomb? Now, had I started Spiritomb, definitely aggro Spiritomb is the way to go. Do I even want that to Dene? I know I'm essentially turning on his Lycanroc, although he's only playing one Ditto, so as soon as Ditto goes, I know I'm safe. And I don't know where I'm going with this game. I know I probably want Drillbur and Blitzle. Probably. But I really am. Like, at this stage, I am just relying on my opponent not setting up. And I don't know what to do here. I mean, even putting that Rainbow Energy down might end up being a big mistake, because Inteleon VMAX for a single energy does 60 damage. Well, I've just brought Drillbur into range. But then again, if I don't play the Rainbow Energy, my opponent probably drops a Galarian Digzagoon and brings it into range anyway. I'm going to drop a Spiritomb. Now, I'm only going to put 1 damage on. I mean, I only can, but it means that my opponent's got to have a Zigzagoon in order to try and get a KO. So I'll Rototiller here and get a Zeb Striker, because I want to get double Zeb Striker on my bench. Just get it back in my deck. But make no mistake when I say this, I don't know how I win this game. The problem with the deck I've built is that it is very much a counter deck. It is there to counter the top decks in the format, except, and the reason I love it so much is because it's very good against random decks. Because Excadrill and Spiritomb are really good single price, single energy attackers, and I love single price, single energy attackers. They are my favourite things to play with. Now there goes a Snom trying to, and there we go. I'm assuming he's got an energy, so that's Drillbur gone. There's a quick ball. So, generally speaking, I like it because it counters the top decks and it has a chance against anything. But not weird rogues like this. Not when it counters so beautifully. And make no mistake, right? My opponent has built Inteleon because it's good against decks like mine. Because, you know, against something like Blacephalon, it's taking multiple prizes in a turn. Same thing, I mean, this would destroy a regular Spiritomb deck. Like, hilarious, even more hilarious than it's going to destroy me in this game, one would imagine. Sure, it has a bad Pikarom matchup, but they do play hammers, and they can have good starts, so it's not the end of the world. And there is that one Lycanroc I told you about that will get a one-hit KO for 0 energy, which is nice. Although if they don't play speed energy, they can play around it. But there goes my Drillbur. And I can get some damage on the field with Spiritomb here, but I don't really know what I'm hoping to accomplish. I mean, okay, here's the deal. And it's not a great plan. But what I can do here is, if I can draw Rainbow Energy Hustle Belt, oh wow. No Rainbow Energy, no Hustle Belt, no Zeb Striker. So that's like the worst case scenario here. I can do 70. The hope was that I can try and hit for 160 this turn, and then maybe I can run through my deck super fast, get down to very few cards in my deck, get a KO with Excadrill. My opponent doesn't set anything up. An Excadrill with 3 cards left in deck and Diancie on the field will one-hit KO Inteleon. So the plan essentially was hit for 160, go super hyper aggro through my deck, try and KO that Inteleon VMAX in the active using my second attack for 200. I wouldn't even need a 200 to be fair. And then one-hit KO the Inteleon on the bench, and then I can win the game. Didn't work. And that essentially was it. That was my chance to win the game. Because I'm not getting a KO with Excadrill here. I needed to get a Zeb Striker and start running through cards in my deck. I've now lost game 1. It was, and this is what I was saying about kind of, you know, having to get lucky to win these games. That was how I won this game. I won this game here by hitting with Spiritomb, then KOing with Excadrill after going hyper aggressive, and then getting a KO. And even then, right, I am hoping my opponent doesn't evolve that Inteleon on the bench. And they don't get free energy on using Frostmoth and get a Galarian Zigzagoon to one-hit KO Excadrill anyway. I was asking for a lot. I was asking for an awful lot. But that was it, right? That was my win condition. That was the only way I win game one. And right now, I'm just like, what am I even doing here? Like, seriously, in this game, what am I hoping to achieve? So there's a Diancie, but the numbers don't work. There are several ways I can win with this deck. I can win hitting Fighting weakness of Excadrill. I can win hitting Darkness weakness with Spiritomb. I can win using single prize Pokemon to trade single prize Pokemon. I can win by using single prize Pokemon to trade with multiple prize Pokemon. But the one way this deck can... I mean, it's the reason I hate the Dragapult matchup so much. The way this deck cannot win is if I am losing multiple prizes and running out of attackers. That's the deck. At least with Dragapult, I have the option. I do not like playing against Dragapult. Although, like I say, I've gone positive against it. Oh, look, there goes Galarian Zigzagoon. Now there's one damage counter on the Drillbur. And there goes the double KO. I have no attackers on the board. Game one is over. And my opponent's down to 2 prizes. There's no reason to even carry on at this stage. This is a literally unwinnable game. Like, literally to the point where if my opponent draws a scoop up net next turn, they win the game. So that was bad. But hey, game 2. But like I was saying, at least against Dragapult, if I've got a Spiritomb, and I can go double Spiritomb, Jinx, Rainbow Energy, Hustle Belt, which I know is a lot to ask, I can at least get a one-hit KO out of nowhere straight away. I can just KO that Dragapult. And they need 2 energy, and some of them play a 1-1 Malamar line, but a lot of them don't. So I can, you know, if I get an early KO, they won't have the energy to really retaliate, and I'll be fine. And now you can see I'm doing that thing that you do, and apologies to my opponent, because I took too long on that one. Because I knew I was going to start Drillbur, right? I'm not going to put Blitzel in the active. I need the Zebstrika. So apologies to my opponent there. But I know what's going to happen here. That's a terrible, terrible play. Get the Zebstrika, you idiot. There we go. So, I don't know what I'm doing here. And don't get me wrong, that energy on the Blitzel's quite nice. It essentially turns Zebstrika into a free retreater if I need it. But what do? Do I go aggro Spiritomb and cross my fingers? I mean, they hit tails, but that wasn't a... Hopefully, I'll never need that energy anyway. It was just, I'm not putting it on Drillbur, so I might as well kind of thing. So, you know, do I go aggro Spiritomb and hope he doesn't take too many cheeky prizes? Bearing in mind, if I give him cheeky prizes with Spiritomb, that makes it more likely that my opponent sets up, because those extra prizes means extra prizing cards in hand. It means extra options. It means they're more likely to set up. And remember, I win if they don't set up. So, yeah. Like, I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know how I win this game. Like, and I know I've said that. And see, again, do I go Rainbow Energy? Bearing in mind, Rainbow Energy puts me in range of an attack. But then again, he plays Galarian Zigzagoon. And if I whiff an energy now, which obviously I don't, then I run the risk of not having an attacker next turn. You know, I run the risk of missing an attack. So there goes Drillbur. Apparently I'm going aggro Excadrill here. So now we do get Spiritomb. Do I play Spiritomb? We can at least... Now, Jinx here is kind of cool. Jinx allows me to move that damage off of Excadrill, so it forces my opponent to have the Zigzagoon to get the KO. And I know dropping a Rainbow Energy seems bad, but remember, I'm going to have to Zebstrika next turn. There is no way I attach both of those energy. Even if I bin the Fighting trying to recover it later, I'm not going to attach those 2 rainbows, so I can afford to bin them. Drawing 3 Rainbow Energy at once when I don't have a supporter, arguably a bad thing, but who really cares? Now, that actually means I do extra damage. It also is a nice, convenient place to put that damage, so I don't get hurt by the Rainbow Energy. And it does mean I can basically set up a 160 Excadrill in a single turn. Spiritomb. Now again, I drew free Rainbow Energy. So if I don't see it, and there's the Zigzagoon. So, oh wait, no, it's going back in. Oh, because he's got the VMAX. Does he have Frostmoth and 2 energy? If he's got the Frostmoth VMAX 2 energy, that is starting to look extremely bad for us. So there's the Frostmoth. There's Professor's Research. Remember, Capacious Bucket will get the 2 energy. We've already seen that they play that. So there's another quick gander at the deck list. And there's an awful lot, right? In a game like this, there is an awful lot of cross my fingers. You notice they're also playing Weakness Guard energy for Pikarom. And between that and Hammers, it's got a chance. Still a bad matchup, but it's got a chance. So here we see the energy coming down onto the bench. Oh, so my opponent's going prize denial here as well. They're going to retreat that active Inteleon. There goes the Crushing Hammer. There is a heads there. That's annoying. Not the end of the world, but annoying. Now here comes the Quick Ball, presumably for the Zigzagoon. Oh no, it's a Dedenne. So now the Dedenne comes down. Oh, this is looking bad. Remember, I win this game by having a better start. If I can get going faster than my opponent, if I can rush a couple of V prizes before my opponent gets rolling, I can boss his orders to take out stuff like Dedenne. Oh, there's a switch. Keeps the energy. There's Capacious Bucket, so now he's going to have 2 Inteleon rolling. 2 with enough energy. I can cheeky prizes off the Dedenne on the bench, but there's not 6 prizes worth there. I need to take a couple of Inteleon and slow my opponent down. And I've not done that. In game 1, I had that single turn, and there we go. The Zigzagoon did come down, drop the damage, down goes Excadrill. In game 1, I had that one turn. That one turn where I could have made something work. So there is a Quick Ball, so I can get a Spiritomb here, and I can get the Rainbow Energy on, so at least I don't waste the Rainbow Energy. And I can Jinx, actually, here. I can Jinx from the Diancie or from the Zeb Striker over. And it has to be from the Zeb Striker. That's actually big because remember my opponent hit 60 to the bench. So a Scoop Up Net would then have got a KO on Zeb Striker. So that's actually weirdly big that I was able to take the damage off. But I whiff Hustle Belt. And I don't think it makes a difference, let's be clear. I don't think, oh, with Hustle Belt I win. Deliberately, the reason I retreated before the Air Balloon, I don't want the energy on the Zeb Striker, but I do want the energy in my deck. So by retreating, I get it in the discard, and I can ordinary rod it back later, or Brock's Grit it later. Whereas now I've got, my opponent's not playing Tool Scrapper, so I don't believe they are anyway. So with the Air Balloon on Zeb Striker, I don't need the energy on there. So that was a calculated energy discard. Little play, but one that can make a difference in some games. But I'm still looking at the board, and I still don't see any way that I win this game. With a Scoop Up Net, my opponent can take a double prize here. They Scoop Up Net the Zigzagoon. They can drop a damage either on Drillbur or Zeb Striker. Oh, sorry, or on the Blitzel. And then they KO the active. And they're trying to go after the Zeb Striker to take away my draw power, which is absolutely the right play, incidentally. But let's be clear, I'm not winning this game. I could bench the Dedenne to draw some cards, but remember, VMAX Inteleon just hits 160, and they're playing great catch around boss's orders, so I don't see any real reason to put myself in that position. So why Zeb Striker, I assume? Remember, I'm recording these after the fact because I can't play optimally. Although I'd say I can't play optimally and stream. Both of these matches so far, it's literally unless I set up terribly, I win, and unless my opponent sets up terribly and I set up brilliantly, I lose. These have not been kind of back and forth games, I'm afraid. These are not 50-50 matchups. These are kind of 80-20 matchups, maybe better, in either player's favour. And if you think there is a strategy that I missed, please let me know in the comment section. But the fact of the matter is, when I'm playing against Inteleon here, his attacks basically lock me out of playing Spiritomb, and Excadrill does not trade properly. My only hope for winning is aggro Spiritomb into aggro Excadrill, and yes, that does mean going through basically my entire deck as fast as I can, and hope that I outspeed them in that way. And you saw there was a chance, there was a moment in game one where it could have worked, but I whiffed off the supporter. And let's be clear, it was a huge long shot. It's not like, oh man, I got super unlucky. No. I was trying for a ridiculous long shot play that didn't pan out. So here I don't even get my Excadrill. I don't even have an attacker. After all that, I don't have a Spiritomb. I don't have an Excadrill. And I'm looking at the board, and I know my opponent's taking 2 prizes next turn. So... okay, to be fair, they need a scoop up net to take 2 prizes. But even then, like, what am I doing here? Like, maybe. But see, even that active Inteleon, it's got 220 HP left. So the only way I get a KO is a 5 damage counter Spiritomb. But there is no way I get a 5 damage counter Spiritomb. I needed the extra 60 off Hustle Belt earlier in the game. And even then, you know, we're talking long shot. We're talking big long shot. And let's be clear, my opponent's taking a double prize next turn. This game is not actually as close as it looks. I need to get the 160 or more Spiritomb early without my opponent getting a KO, which is a lot to ask for. And I need to get down in my deck very, very low as fast as I possibly can, which is a lot to ask for. You notice I've gone and put, it doesn't matter what I put active, I'm playing 1 air balloon and my air balloon's gone. So I have no way of getting that Drillbur out of the active. So I can get a 3 damage Spiritomb, but I don't have Hustle Belt. I don't have any way to get Drillbur out of the active, and I'm kidding myself. Let's end this. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, my run comes to an end here. It is a winnable game, but only if my opponent has a bad start and I can go full aggro. It's too much to ask for. Congratulations to my opponent. They played the game well. They made a bad matchup into an unwinnable matchup. They thoroughly deserve the win, and I am done, unfortunately. I was in single elimination mode. I needed to win 4 games on the trot. I won 1, and then I fell. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of my Players' Cup journey. But getting into top 64 and advancing a little bit beyond that with Excadrill Spiritomb, a deck that people I was telling about were not taking it seriously. Yeah, I'll take that, you know. That's a good result. Thank you to all of you lovely ladies and gentlemen for watching, Pokemon for running the tournament, and all the folks and TOs and everyone involved. I had a lot of fun with this tournament. I didn't do as well as I was hoping, but then again, there aren't going to be that many Europeans in the final week. There's only 4. And I think I gave a pretty good account of myself. So for now, you know the deal. Comment, like, subscribe. You know all the deal. Links are on the screen. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.